is that time. You are officially in the incinerator. Welcome to Incense and Common Sense, the live streams we do here in the Alert Zone. Got our official incense lit. Got the incense holder, incense burner. Let it build up. Give everybody a couple minutes to get in here. I want to shout out the state of Illinois, which I am currently in the state of Illinois right now. I want to shout out the state of Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana. I was in those last night and earlier today, so definitely shout out to those states. Shout out to the people from there. I want to shout out all the active citizens of the Alert Zone and those who don't always get a chance to view the material. I know we all have lives, and there's probably thousands of places that you can choose to watch, so I understand. I hope everybody is having a good night, good day, wherever you are. I hope everybody is being safe out there. As you come in, hit the like button. That boosts the algorithm. You know, YouTube don't help us out. We're trying to at least be recommended here in the Alert Zone. Definitely. So, like I said, I just want to shout everybody out in the whole YouTube, Second Amendment media, whole gun tube sphere, what have you. And definitely shout out to the citizens of the Alert Zone, because without y'all, this wouldn't be possible. I would just be a loudmouth ragging online and nobody would be hearing. So I appreciate the participation. So that's definitely that. I give everybody a minute. Grab me a water while I'm watching. Right here waiting. Definitely shout out to everybody. Couple more seconds, I'll get started on tonight's live stream. If you come into the room late, you can always watch the replay. We'll repost it after this. So let's go ahead on and get into the discussion of this live stream. Like I said, as you come in, hit the like button. Just help me boost the algorithm there. I got two wonderful people in here. It's showing so far. Make sure we got 2 people. We ought to have 2 likes. Hit that like button. I think this is going to be the last time I do this disclaimer. Because we got to get into the point of hit dogs holler. We can't keep screaming and keep disclaiming, not everybody. We know we don't mean everybody. And a disclaimer for this from now on, from this topic, this is not a rant against law enforcement. That's probably going to be the last time I make that statement, hopefully. I don't want to keep pointing things out that need to be pointed out and keep saying it's not a rant against them. If they feel like it's a rant, there's nothing I can do. As legally armed citizens, I think this is a subject that has to be harped on because the sentiment of law enforcement across the country, you always see something going on that shouldn't be, that be very, very egregious. And the reason I talk about in this platform how to deal with law enforcement and encounters with them is I always take this in consideration. We are legally armed. And I like to keep that on people's mind. We legally armed here in the Alert Zone. And there's a lot of us in this country that's legally armed. We should have more, but nevertheless. And I think a lot of us across the country we get complacent because of where we live. What's the laws where we live? What's the perception where we live? as opposed to the reality of it. And what I mean by that, part of what I mean by that is, we may not like gun laws in other states, and I'm going somewhere with this, but for those of us that's legally armed, that travels, you have to understand how to be compliant in those places, and then you have to understand enforcement of compliance. If you notice lately, a lot of these celebrities been getting caught in LA and in California with guns, and Boosie and Deontay Wilder, and I think Devin Haney or one of them, on top of other ones, with this whole stupid check-in crap. And maybe that's a video for another time. But also, like in the state of New York, before they got their gun law passed that they still fighting, a lot of people came into the state and got gun charges because they just forgot they had a gun in the car, because it was already so natural. Now, law enforcement could have said, well, I'll tell you what, you're an out-of-towner. I'll go ahead on and put it in your trunk, or we'll let you leave. But this is the law. But that's not the way they enforce it. So, this is what I say when I talk about law enforcement and how to deal with them. What's going on, Gene? Thumbs up. Yeah, thumbs up when you come in. Appreciate that. We as law-abiding citizens across the country, because I'm going to get to something that I think everybody needs to hear. It's going to be gruesome. Let me give that disclaimer now. Some of this stuff you hear tonight might be gruesome, but you need to hear it. When we deal with law enforcement in America as legally armed citizens, and I like to tell y'all my experiences, because I always say, maybe you may not experience what I have, and to be honest, the crooked cops, the bold ones, the loud mouths, are the ones I got the utmost respect for. And I'm going to tell you the only reason I had the utmost respect for them, because they fucking honest, and they don't let me live in a dream world. They didn't let me leave in. They used to tell me, we don't care about your rights on paper, is what we say, period, point blank. And I can respect that. In America, we always say, oh, be upfront with us, keep it real, and all this other carrying on. I'm not saying that I want law enforcement to go out and mistreat people. I'm telling you from my experience, so your experience can be different. Because as this live stream go on, I'm gonna get to some things where this problem has spread to places where I've had people offline tell me I never thought that we would see that here, and it's here now. But back to what I was saying. You guys and girls out there don't understand how many people that's in the military and that's in different law enforcement agencies, they can't stand to see law-abiding citizens armed. And they don't care what the color is. They'll tell you, I don't like having armed citizens. I don't want to hear nothing about no fucking Constitution. I don't like y'all having guns. And that right there, me learning that young from a cop, made me understand when it comes to firearms, I'm going to have to stay 2 or 3 steps ahead of these people. Look, you got to keep your driver license, registration, and insurance up to date on your car. That's number one. Number two, you got to understand something when you're dealing with these people. There are more laws on the book than you think there are. There are more laws that's directed towards your feelings that you don't believe is on the book, but is on the book. And you can find out the easy way, or you can find out the hard way. What you mean, huh? When they pull you over, your mind got to be conditioned to, you want to leave this stop alive. Because at any given time that you pull over, that can be your life. That goes for anybody. You don't know, these officers, you don't know what's on their mind, what they've been going through, what have you. So you always want to be a couple steps ahead of them. You always got to think when they walk up to your car, you're sitting down, they're standing up. You're at a disadvantage. When they're two to a car, especially when one comes to the driver's side and one comes to the passenger side, that is strategic. That is strategic. The one on the passenger side is there for one reason only, to blow your fucking head off if they think you're gonna move. Period, point blank. So you have to be careful. You have to understand as you travel, especially as you cross county and state lines, a lot of these agencies are different. Like, for example, if you live in Davenport, Iowa, or Clinton, Iowa, you go right across the river and you in Illinois. Yep, you're right about that, Gene. So you cross the bridge and you in Illinois. We got 4 people in here. Let's get them lights up. The gun laws is split by river because what's legal in Iowa is not legal in Illinois anymore. What's legal in Iowa, the capacity is different right now. If any of my Illinois residents out there know any different, put it in the chat. Let me know. But as far as I know, there's a mag ban in Illinois. I'm not sure if it's the Chicago area or if it's Illinois, as far as the not only the assault weapon ban, but I'm hearing something about a magazine ban. I'm not sure. If you live in Portland, Oregon, you're on the state line with Washington. So just crossing over makes that big of a difference. Here in Iowa, me going to Illinois, me going to Minnesota, there's a lot of different things. So you got to understand that when you legally armed. For those of you who started to travel the country when you legally armed, my advice to you is to at least have one firearm that's 10 rounds or less. And I'm going to tell you why. You don't want to get caught up in a state where the law is 10 rounds or less and you got a firearm that holds 15, a firearm that holds 20. Because technically, under the law, you've committed a crime in that state. Something that simple can get you locked up on a gun charge in another state. Just that simple. Because you got an illegal magazine, which makes your firearm illegal. So I knew for those of us who've been around firearms for a long time, we never thought this day would come. But me, listen to Unc. You never know when you got to travel. You never know when you're going to get up and move. You never know when you're going to get up and go visit somebody. If you legally armed, carry, at least get you one firearm that's 10 rounds or less, just so you cover. Just so you know, if I do get stopped here, number one, no matter where you go, they really hate out-of-towners coming armed. Unless you go into like some, hell, even if you go into a damn convention or something, most states hate out-of-towners coming in there armed. They just hate it. So you want to be where you legally armed and you're within their guidelines. You definitely won't do that. Another thing we got to address is what think tanks are and training. I know a lot of people like to say when officers commit certain offenses, they need more training. They don't. They're doing what they're trained to do. You can't have a particular outcome 95% of the time and keep saying it's a training issue. That's pattern recognition. They're doing what they're trained to do. Period, point blank. And if they're not trained to do it, they've already built up a culture of getting away with it. So, I seen a story out in Baltimore where some cops was chasing a kid that was suspected of a robbery or something, and they caught one kid. He turned out to not be the subject. But it was nighttime, and how the helicopters have that night vision, that thermal vision. Well, you can see they got the guy handcuffed, the little young teenager, He's walking. He's not putting up a fight because he's already handcuffed, and I guess he's telling them he's not the person they're looking for. One officer decides to put him in a chokehold and then starts punching him. And the kid is black, and he asks the black officers, y'all gonna stand there and let him do that to me? Well, two of them decided to go ahead on and, report that. And the officer that did the offense didn't report it. Then kind of denied it and then kind of said, well, he was fighting back until the footage from the helicopter came out. And in retaliation to those officers blowing the whistle or snitching, they stopped helping them on calls. They sent all kind of threatening and racial messages to them, and they even got one of them on patrol, one of the guys who was conspiring against him. So these are the kind of people that's stopping you. We keep saying, oh, it's only a handful of officers that's bad. That's not true. Just like I say to those of us that's out here in the community, when you letting 2 or 3 dudes or 2 or 3 chicks or 2 or 3 people run the neighborhood and break in everybody's house and all this stuff and you don't say nothing, you complicit. You just can't get angry when it knocks on your front door. All right, Willpower TV, welcome. So then in Louisiana, we just had a state trooper found not guilty. They pulled the motorist over. They said because he was an improper lane change. Yep. And they gave him a improper lane change. They pulled him over. And he got out and, kind of roughed him up. And this particular officer showed up and busted him in his head with the flashlight 18 times in 30 seconds or something like that. And hospitalized the guy, and then they indicted him. He didn't even report that. Now understand, this officer had 23 incidents of use of force that was documented. He got indicted for the one he didn't document, and he had fixed his body cam the way he worded it so they couldn't check it. Do you honestly believe the one he got indicted for was the first time he did something off the record? And at the end of the day, for those who just got in here, I'm going to make this disclaimer one time. Again, I know I said I wasn't going to do it. This is not a rant against law enforcement. I'm explaining to you the kind of people we dealing with so you know how to be strategic. Here, we promote being law-abiding citizens. You got to use this as well as this. Some people use this and this, and they get them killed, or they get them locked up, or they get them hurt. You got to use this, but you got to use this first, then this. This comes last, because your heart will get you killed, your emotions will get you killed. I'm trying to keep you surviving being pulled over. And when I said at the beginning of the live stream that this has spread, I'm going to get to the particular case that was the catalyst for this live stream, and it's going to be sickening. But nevertheless, when you encounter law enforcement, shout out to Pluto TV. I watch Cops a lot. And when I started out watching that show, I just used to watch it to see people run and people, resist the cops and stop resisting and what have you. And as I got older, I started actually watching cops differently. I started paying attention to what the officers say. And I started listening to them. And I started listening to how they police and how they tell the truth on camera nicely without even knowing it. How you will hear them say, well, yeah, I can find 30 or 40 reasons to pull somebody over. There's always a reason to pull somebody over. Oh, how I can tell them you didn't have a seatbelt on, but that's not what I stopped you back for. I stopped you for, all right, shout out Green, Gene. You be back, we'll be rolling. When they say that, oh, this person's coming out of high drug area, that's what they stopped you for. And a lot of places have laws where that's, you're loitering in the drug area, but they tell you didn't have a seatbelt on. Or the number one thing they like to tell you is you didn't stop all the way at the sign. That was a roll. That's not a yield sign. It's a stop sign. It was a rolling stop sign. And they used that as a way to search you. As you saying, what's your rights? I'm telling you, your rights being impeded on and your rights being taken every day. And a lot of times you don't know. When Roe versus Wade happened, everybody was worried about that. But the Supreme Court ruled that law enforcement can't be punished now for not reading your Miranda rights. Thank you, Joe Biden. For those of you who like to talk this liberal conservative stuff, yeah, Joe Biden was the one who petitioned for that. He sent the Inspector General up there. Yeah, let's make it easy on him. Also, the Supreme Court said they're not gonna hear any more cases where people have been wrongly convicted. So if your state Supreme Court don't let you go, the United States Supreme Court not gonna hear your wrongful conviction case anymore. So what I'm saying is law enforcement is being incentivized. On TV, you're seeing all this lawlessness. But they're very selective about the lawlessness they won't show you. They're showing you people out in California, robbing Nordstroms and what have you. They're showing you about gas station shootings in Detroit and Atlanta. But they're not talking about all the murder-suicides going on here in the Midwest. They're not talking about the low-key meth wars that's going on here. They're not talking about all the fentanyl wars that they having going on here. That's going to be a totally different video, but I'm just bringing that up. In Philadelphia, you had a guy just get killed. His family and his name sound like he's a Latino. They said they stopped him from going the wrong way up the street. He was sitting in the car. They shot him 6 times. Pulled him out the car, but the police report said he was out of the car standing there with a knife and lunged at them. That's why they shot. And that was the original story. And then apparently somebody in the police department saw the body camera. Now they haven't made the body camera visible to everybody, but it doesn't match the police story at all. You guys got to be careful when you out here dealing with these people. I know it's annoying. Believe me, I'm from the old New Orleans. Well, it was nothing for them to jump out on us. It was nothing for us to get stopped and thrown on the ground for no reason at all. And it didn't matter your age. It didn't matter what part of the city you was in. You could be going down St. Charles or Britannia and they pull you out of the car, minding your business, throw you on the ground. So I know what I'm talking about. You can't be getting emotional when these people stop you. You got a lot of them. What you think they do all this training for? They're trained to do certain things. They're trained to know how to escalate a situation. People keep saying, "Oh well, they could have de-escalated." No, he couldn't have. He wasn't taught to de-escalate. They're not taught that. De-escalation has to be something that comes from your heart. Either you looking for a problem or you're not. Period, point blank. We as law-abiding citizens, here in the alert zone and on GunTube, what do we always tell y'all? Try and avoid a situation. Try and de-escalate the situation. Every situation ain't worth getting into it. Yeah, you legally armed and you can stand your ground, but sometimes is it even worth it? Is it even worth the headache of having to go through the whole police report, all this other craziness, the interrogation and all that investigation, and then this person's family or friends coming behind you? Law enforcement don't see it like that. 90% of them they're not going to de-escalate a situation. Especially if you live in one of these high crime areas, go watch Cops. Binge watch Cops on Pluto TV one day. Don't look at the fighting and listen to law enforcement. And they tell you how they do their job. If you know how they do their job, you know how to stay a couple steps ahead of them. They tell you what they do. So you can't be fighting with these people on the side of the road, even though you don't like it, even though it's uncomfortable. You got to use your head. Derek, we got 7 people in here and 5 likes. Shout out to everybody that's in here, whether you commenting or not. Just give me a like. Derek Chauvin. You don't get to do what he did to George Floyd without already being seen as a person who put in work. When I first saw that, what's going on? A. Malloy, welcome, welcome. Derek Chauvin. That wasn't his first time, and I knew that. Just by his comfortability to do what he did and put his hands in his pocket and what have you, that escalated. I'm going to tell you this, and like I told you the last time we had this discussion, there's a Derek Chauvin in every police department in this country. All it takes is the right situation for them to come out. That goes for white folks too. You guys are not immune to this, because I'm going to get to y'all. There's states that say when law enforcement stop you, the first thing you got to do is let them know you have a firearm in the car. For those of us, oh yeah, Willpower TV, I'm going to get to that. That is the catalyst for tonight's live stream. I'm going to get to that. But nevertheless, I tell y'all this because you know what? I'm tired of seeing people lose their life in these traffic stops or these engagements with law enforcement. And I'm tired of seeing people say, oh, well, that type of stuff don't happen here. Oh, well, we want an investigation. Let me explain something to you. And this is from just a standpoint of right and wrong. It's not religious or none of that stuff. I always tell everybody, a part of the streets a lot of people don't like is the consequences when it comes back on you. A lot of people can't take that. A lot of dudes out here want to be gangsters until it's time to go to the joint. A lot of them can accept death, but going to the joint at a young age, they can't. And they talk. They get angry. They throw fits. When you cheer on law enforcement mistreating one person or one group of people, don't think you're immune. Because just like the burglars and the criminals that keeps breaking in this particular house, and then they finally put bars and security cameras on there, they know they can't go in there, they'll turn around and start going in the rest of the houses where they know people seeing them coming out of your house. They'll start breaking in their house because the urge is already in them to break in. For a lot of these people that's in law enforcement, and I don't just mean just your local police force, I mean the federals too. It's already in them to do this. They do this, what do they say? Oh, we got a dangerous job, but then you hear them on cops bragging. Oh yeah, when I got out of the academy, I asked to come to this particular part of town because I wanted to go where the action is at. In other words, I wanted to go where I can bust somebody's fucking head. Period, point blank. And I know this from talking to several officers throughout my life that was honest with me. There's a lot of them that join the police force specifically for that. You know, they don't make a lot of money. They got to work a lot of hours. They don't make that type of money. But busting heads, shit. Pulling heads, there's a head puller on every department. Every department got at least one head puller. And everybody else know it. Everybody else on the department know. This one, that motherfucker will bust your head to the fucking white meat, boy. Think about this. We live in an era where cops wear body cameras and commit crimes on body camera. What does that tell you? For those of you who see my video about Tyre Nichols, the very first thing I said was, somebody somewhere else have access to a camera that tells the full story, and they releasing this video camera or this body cam footage to get out ahead of that because somebody else has a hold of this footage and already threatened to put it out there, and they can't doctor it, they can't edit it, and what have you. And then the full, stories start coming out. I talked about in Baltimore. I just talked about in Philly. That guy, his family seemed like they got a Hispanic accent and was saying, we want justice and this and that. You can't keep letting mainstream media shape your image and shape your thought of somebody else. Because you may say today, well, that's that particular group or that's that guy. He must have been doing something wrong. I don't care until it's your fucking son. You just had, what's that, Lansing, Michigan. The little young boy put trash out. Next thing you know, he's in fucking handcuffs with a gun pointed at him. He's supposed to be a suspect in something. He's standing there, the kid is terrified to come out. And that's the goal. Down in Frisco, Texas, you had that dumbass deputy who called herself running somebody's plate, and instead of AR for Arkansas, she put fucking AZ for Arizona. They did a felony traffic stop. They didn't put the man in fucking handcuffs. They took the little 10-year-old boy and put him in fucking handcuffs for their mistake. That's on purpose. Let me explain something to you. When you see them putting kids in handcuffs and, oh, later it was a mistake, it wasn't a mistake. This is to send a message to them. They want them to be afraid. You understand what I'm saying? This is what this is about. These are the type of people you're going to encounter. You have to be smarter than them. You just have to. You can't take a chance on your safety out here. I understand we have rights. Listen to them. Listen to me. All I'm trying to do is give you a guideline on how you survive this. How you sidestep these guys. How you learn to get around that double speak. That cop city in Atlanta that they want to build, it's not for training. It's not so much for training for urban warfare as they said. They want to figure out, since they can't go into the actual apartment complex and exercise it, they want to build simulations of apartment complexes so they can figure out how to conceal these brutality and these crimes more, is what they want to do. It's the only reason you put up a $90 million facility. I understand we got people that's in law enforcement here in GunTube. Diesel TV. I love his channel. I've gotten on his live for a couple minutes before. I watch his gun videos, his gun collection videos and what have you. I don't have an issue with somebody's occupation, because at the end of the day, we need law enforcement. But we need them to do their fucking jobs. But on the other hand, we, the law-abiding citizens, need to always think about this. You got to stay a step ahead of them. Because you never know who's stopping you. Just like they tell you, I don't know you, I don't know your intentions. I feel the same way. I don't know you, I don't know your intentions. If I haven't done anything, there's no need me screaming and hollering and cussing and carrying on. Pull me over. Hey, you were speeding. Driver license, registration, insurance. All right. Let me get my stuff. Here you go. You were speeding. Okay. Well, I don't think I was speeding. My speedometer said this. Well, I say you were speeding. All right. Where's the court date? Fight it in court. The worst thing can happen in court is you fucking pay a fine. On the side of the road, let me tell you something. Even though you have the right, when you sit there and you got permanent leg damage and you can't get up and enjoy the things you used to, or you got permanent back pain, or you got permanent limited use in a limb, or you paralyzed or what have you, ask yourself, was blurting out your rights and escalating the situation worth it? You already know the little games they play. When you tell them you want a supervisor, you know all that do is amp them the fuck up. Period, point blank. That's all it does, is amp them up. The reason I say ride around legally armed, it's because one thing can't happen to you. Because a lot of these cops, the Baltimore Gun Trace Task Force, remember out there in Baltimore, the Baltimore Gun Trace Task Force, look them up. They all got sentenced to prison because they used to carry fucking guns around to throw on people. When you legally armed, that's one thing you can fight. They say, oh, you had a firearm. Oh, no, mine's legal. I had a legal firearm. Come on, take me to jail. I had a legal firearm. I'm going to fight it out in court. I know it's annoying and it's a headache. I'm just telling you because I travel this country and because I've been, even being a truck driver, when I was younger, I used to get a stop the whole lot. I've been stopped across the country, and I can tell you, I've been stopped by some guys that was doing their jobs, and I've been stopped by some guys and girls that was just, you can just see the seed in hate. Upstate New York. For all y'all who like to talk that north-south crap. If you're from New York, you know what I'm talking about. Them fucking cops up there in upstate New York, shit, they ain't no joke. The state troopers up there, they ain't no fucking joke. They will bust your head to the fucking fat meat, I'll tell you that. We got 9 people in here and 8 likes, man. I appreciate everybody that came through, everybody that's coming through. Appreciate everybody that hit the likes. Definitely, definitely. Anyhow, let me get to why I decided to live stream this and what I decided to bring this up. Shout out to you, Willpower TV. For those of you who don't know, there were 6 officers in Mississippi, Rankin County, Mississippi, that just pled guilty to federal and state charges. 6 of them. Now, if you remember when I live streamed, I think I live streamed last week, or I did a video last week when I mentioned that I was in Jackson and I had mentioned Rankin County, Mississippi. Well, I came through Rankin County last week. Before I get into this, let me explain something to y'all. Because I'm born and raised in Louisiana. New Orleans, Louisiana. What's going on, TH? I'm chilling. Welcome, welcome. I don't think, if you've never lived, what's up, brother? Nice to see you again. Yeah. Yeah, everything is well, Deluxe. Everything is well so far. I'm from Louisiana. If you've never been there and you don't live in the South, you guys and girls don't understand what the state of Mississippi represents. The state of Mississippi represents like almost an unreal boogeyman, like something you see on TV. When you cross the fucking state line into Mississippi, I'm telling you, Mississippi got the, from what I understand, I know it has the highest black home ownership rate in the country. Per capita, per the state, it has the most black people in it. But the state of Mississippi, me being a New Orleanian and me knowing about American history, is almost like when you cross the state line in Mississippi, you can feel and smell and see the fucking ghost of the dead people. That is just how eerie. For those of you who don't know, maybe I'm gonna get a chance, I might do a video actually at the site. Mississippi is where the Devil's Punch Bowl happened. I know everybody hear about Mississippi burning, Goodman, Cheney, and Schwerner. The Devil's Punch Bowl happened in Mississippi. I you know what? I don't even want to go into a fucking tangent about the state of Mississippi. That's how Mississippi is. All of us in the South know the lore of going to the fucking state of Mississippi. At any given time. Yes, you're right, Gene. Going back over the state line in Mississippi right now. I just was there last week and I can tell you. When I crossed out of, what's that, Theodore? I want to say Theodore, Alabama. Right down Interstate 10. And into Pascagoula. Shit. This it's like fucking night and day, the feeling. And I went up, I went to Biloxi, then Gulfport, and got on Highway 49 and went to Jackson. You can wake up in the north and then wake up in the south, and trust me. And I went through Rankin County. I wasn't sure where Rankin County was, and I was going up Interstate 40, US 49. And I seen the sign, Rankin County. I said, motherfucker. And I ain't gonna lie, my ass got tight. My ass, all the nerves and muscles in my body locked up going through Rankin County. For those of you who don't know, because I've been fortunate enough to get pieces of the transcript online here and there, those 6 officers pled guilty to a wide array of charges, federal and state. What really came out, they called themselves the Goon Squad. These 2 black guys was reportedly living with a white woman, and that was their crime. They had no warrant, but they claimed they was busting in looking for drugs and guns, and they tortured these 2 guys. When I heard some of the details of what they actually did, because when they went to court to plead guilty, the details start coming out. I knew one of the guys, they had shot him in the mouth. I know they wound up cutting his tongue out. They were tasering both of them in their genitals to see whose taser was the strongest and which one of them can take pain the most. This is really gruesome. This is documented. They admitted and told. This is documented. I'm not making this up from these officers. I don't know where they got it from. I don't know if they had it with them. They had a fucking dildo in there. And they sexually assaulted both of these guys. And they said they only stopped because one of them kept shitting on himself. He kept shitting, so they stopped. They tortured them poor guys for a couple hours. Yeah, Malloy, I'm not making this up. You can go look at it. This is the sickness came out of what these bastards did. They were and I haven't seen anything that says that they physically penetrated these guys, but if they would take a dildo and do this to them, you know, them being sexually penetrated by these guys is not far behind. That's not far-fetched to assume that. After they tortured these guys for a couple hours, they took them to the bathroom and made them take a fucking shower together to wash off the fucking evidence. Yeah. These guys had to endure this. One guy, like I said, he got his, I don't know if it's his full tongue or part of his tongue, they wind up having to cut out because he got shot in the mouth. They said he'll be in speech therapy and he'll be going to therapy the rest of his life for the trauma from the bullet, you know, from what his tongue and what have you. I listened to him talk. He said his food doesn't taste the same and that it's hard for him to speak. So, because he's still going through, you know, the motions of trying to learn how to talk with a partial tongue or no tongue or however he's talking. And he says it's very painful. And their only fucking crime was that supposedly they was living with a white woman. But what also came out, and this is another part of why I did this live stream, my personal opinion why they hurry up and pled guilty is it started coming out. They was around there beating up white people too. They didn't limit their actions to only the black residents. They wanted everybody. Hell, there was a deputy from another fucking county that got involved. He was off duty. Yes. He was off duty and he participated. They said that they was doing this to everybody. And well, details of them sexually assaulting other people haven't came out. But you don't ever see law enforcement pleading guilty to doing anything to black folks, especially without a fucking video. And they pled guilty. They don't want their crimes against white folks to come out. But then, you know, being down there and kind of talking to a couple people about it when I was in Jackson at the Flying J's there off Interstate 20, and talking to other people, they was like, we didn't think that type of stuff could happen. Yes. When I have discussions here, whether it's on tape or I'm live streaming, I never do this with a malicious intent. I never do this because I want to keep shit going. I'm not here to do that. I'm telling you the kind of society we live in. And because I'm a gun tuber and because I love the Second Amendment, I want everybody to be careful out there. That's why I say the criminals have their advocates. I'm ours. I'm the advocate for the law-abiding citizen before something happened. I want you to make your interaction with law enforcement as minimal as possible and as quick as possible. Because the longer, just like arguing with somebody, the longer you argue with a person, the angrier you're going to get. And before you know it, you've been a win upside their damn head. Well, the same thing with them. The longer they're standing there, the more potential of this thing to go left that is there. Yeah, I mean, it is. Do you know what kind of a fucking animal you have to be to do something like that? For men to do that to other men, I don't think a lot of people can fathom something like that. And even me, being from Louisiana, and let me tell you something. The stories y'all hear about Mississippi, I can tell you 99% of them is fucking true. They ain't made up. I know in America, we don't like talking about it. Nobody don't hear about it. I'm just telling you, when the residents tell you what they're going through, when they tell you that the fucking water system is poisoned in Jackson, they're not lying. When they tell you they got a fucking boil water going on, they're not lying. I was just there last week. They're not lying. They're not lying about that. Man, you have to be careful out here. Because you don't know who's stopping you. You don't know what's on their mind. You don't know what you don't. You can't take a chance. And I'm hearing and seeing more and more people, even rural people, that tells me, yeah, man, we had out in Iowa where I live, Toledo, Iowa, is like a couple towns over. It's not that big. You had an officer that was just stopping people, knocking them upside the head, taking them to jail and what have you. Down in Newton, you got one that was just giving people DUIs. Just because. OWIs, whatever the fuck you call it. Just because. I mean, they would blow zeros and he would still take them to jail. OWI. I couldn't understand when I first got to Iowa. Everybody I was talking to was, I got OWI on my record. And I was like, what the fuck is that? Oh, operating while intoxicated. It's like a DWI. I was like, damn. I heard of it, but in New Orleans at that time, I mean, you damn near had to crash into something. I mean, you can buy liquor year-round in New Orleans. All hours of the day and night. Ain't no such thing. They don't lock the beer cases at 2 in the morning. At 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, you want your damn bottle of Jack Daniels, you can go buy it. When I first got up to Iowa, I kept saying, there's no way this many people getting caught drinking and driving. I can't believe that. And then when I saw the tactics, I understood why. I understood how that was possible. How it was easy to usher that in. And how normal people told me I was sitting on the passenger side. I wasn't driving. I was parked. How people told me I blew less than a .08. Some people say I blew zeros and I still went. And they didn't understand what I understood. How that was allowed to go on, because in their mind, law enforcement don't do that. In their mind, that only happens to criminals in a big city that's looking for trouble. Us rural folks, law-abiding rural folks, that don't happen to us. You can't have the amount of OWIs you have in the state of Iowa and there don't be some wrongdoing somewhere. Furthermore, you can't have a Rankin, Mississippi happen without their first, it don't get that far without them escalating. I'm going to go through this, and I want you guys and girls out there to listen real good to what I'm going to say. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Shout out to everybody that stopped by. Hit the likes button. When you see the replay, do me a favor, hit the likes button. I will definitely love y'all comments. If you don't want comments, that's fine. At least give me a like. Let it get out to some people that need to hear it. I'm not going to tell you every officer joins law enforcement looking to become brutal, but I'm going to tell you how easily it is to escalate, because they say it's easier to get people to do wrong than it is to get them to do right. They start off as a rookie and they want to do the right thing. So they don't put two rookies together because the public would say, oh, you got the blind leading the blind. That's psychological. Because you got two like-minded people together, it's best. But you put somebody been out there 10, 15 years like the movie Training Day, it's easier for him to corrupt that young cop, the new cop that's on the force. It's easier for him or her to say, this is the fucking way we do things. And it starts off that cop wants to do the right thing. Then they start stopping people. And he stands by and watches the veteran cop hem people up and what have you. He tell them something when they're alone, and the veteran cop tell him this is the way it is. And then the new cop goes, and it just gradually escalates. And it gets to a point where, yeah, training base was true story. Yep. Rafael Perez from the Rampart Division. For those of you who didn't know, shout out to you, Gene. Rafael Perez, played by Denzel Washington in Training Day, was an actual character. He was an actual officer from New York, moved to LA. He was Puerto Rican. But then the new cop goes to stopping people and kind of flexing. Then it goes from flexing to stopping them for nothing. Then it escalates to them getting smart at the mouth with people. Then it just constantly escalates. Once they start using profanity and just searching people for no reason, the logical next step is to start becoming brutal. Period, point blank. No officer joins the force and then one day they just decide they're going to shoot somebody. Nah, they've been leading to this. And they've been looking for an opportunity. If you don't believe me, look at Lavergne, Tennessee. That woman joined the police force and she started fucking all them dudes. And when she didn't get what she wanted, she started screaming rape. Now she's suing. Talking about they got bullied, even though they got the messages of her. And they even got her telling other guys on the force that didn't want to be involved with her sexually. She was telling them they was gay because they didn't want to fuck her, but look at her now. She didn't put her glasses on. She didn't comb her hair. And she didn't put on her white dress. And she didn't got in front of the public with her husband on the news and said they forced me. I was afraid. Nobody forced her, but she was afraid. These are the kind of people you're dealing with. I'm not a lawyer. Not going to tell you I'm a law guru. But here in the alert zone, what do we teach you? One of the things I teach you is situational awareness. And you got to understand when a situation is not a good situation to fight in. Because at the end of the day, law enforcement, those officers got a whole system to help them fight them taking your life. When you are the victim, right away, you become the perpetrator. And they want to dig up your criminal record. If they can't find nothing on you criminally, they'll go back to your school records to see if you got suspended before. They got to dirty you up some kind of way. These are the kind of people that's out here getting guns and badges. If you live in the Chicago area, the good old Democratic governor, from what I understand, just passed a law saying people that's not even citizens of the country can be fucking police officers now. So they're gonna give them guns, they're gonna give them mace, they're gonna give them tasers, they're gonna give them nightsticks. And they're not even fucking citizens. The next thing you know, they're gonna be patrolling. You think it's some head busting going on over there now? Shh. They're gonna be pulling heads left and right. And the worst thing that can happen is they can fucking get deported and come back. Change their name and come back and go to somewhere else. California was the first place to do it from what I understand in the LA area. Speaking of LA and California, shout out to my boy Eyes and Ears Tactical, man. Shout out to him, definitely. Policing has changed in the country. They've already got these robot dogs out here. I've already heard some of the things they've programmed these dogs to say and do. I'm not going to even get into that. But policing has changed. You're going to possibly have people who can't even speak the fucking language stopping you. You have to use your head. You have to be 3 steps ahead of them when they stop you. Because, like they tell us, the law-abiding citizens, I don't know your intentions. In the back of your mind, that's the way you're supposed to feel about them when they stop you. Yeah, you standing there with a gun, I don't know your intentions either. Especially in New Orleans. The first time I got stopped with a 45 on me, law enforcement lost their mind. What the fuck you need a 45 for? This bigger than what I carry. Why y'all need to have what we got equal to what we have, or stronger? That's what we here for, blah, 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 blah. He just gave me this long speech. And when he finally shut his fat mouth, I asked him, okay, so if y'all here to protect and serve, where was y'all when my daddy was getting his fucking head blown off? And of course he couldn't answer that. So you got to think about all that. You know, this will probably be one of the only channels on YouTube where you hear me just say it bluntly, that to an extent, the arrogant cops is the ones to have around because the motherfucker's honest. And they'll tell you what everybody else doing because they don't give a shit. So you know how to deal with them. Yep. You know how to deal with them. They'll tell you. When that officer was on tape over there in Chicago telling them dudes, I kill motherfuckers, he was being stone serious. He killed motherfuckers. He's the only one he's on paper for, but I can guarantee he ain't the only one. See, we got to get out of this thing of when we hear of a shooting, assuming that it was somebody from the hood. How can you say it's black on black crime when you never fucking caught the culprit? You can't assume that that's what it is, because they're like in Michigan, in Detroit, somewhere in the Detroit area, where you had that fucking triple killing. And you had everybody in the community on the news talking about we gotta stop this black on black crime and all this crap. And then it turned out it was a fucking white guy that did this shit. You can't assume without having fucking evidence, because that's a dangerous narrative. Because like I told you, I live in Iowa. I've been there 13 years. I ain't never heard the term white on white crime. And I live in a state that's 91% white. It's only 3% black, and that's including black immigrants. There's more black immigrants than there is black Americans there. I ain't never heard Asian on Asian crime. I ain't never heard Hispanic on Hispanic crime. I ain't never heard, we got the Meskwaki tribe there. We got other tribes in the state of Iowa that get into tussles. I ain't never heard Native American on Native American crime. We just keep being promoted as the only people that go at it with each other. They're not showing you what's going on in the Midwest. That's what I'm here for. They're not telling you that. They're not reporting that to you. They're not reporting that right now on the fucking shelf you can go in the store and buy a Narcan. Yeah, nasal Narcan. And I seen the fucking commercial and I was in awe. And the commercial is just so calm. Narcan is available over the counter. For the nasal spray, because you never know when an accident is going to happen. Or you may need it. I mean, they was talking as though you was buying like Vicks Vapor Rub or something in case you get a fucking cold. For those of you who don't know, Narcan is what they shooting people when they overdose on opioids. Fentanyl, heroin, them fucking pills, Percocet, whatever the fuck that is, Molly's, or whatever the fuck that is they take. Law enforcement in the Midwest carry Narcan with them. I'm not sure about the West Coast and the South, but in the Midwest, they carry Narcan with them. And I've had officers in the town I live in tell me how they get tired of going to calls of people overdosing and having to shoot them up with fucking Narcan. And now you can buy this shit over the fucking counter. CNN ain't made a fucking big thing about that. Hey, where's Fox News at? They ain't said nothing. I ain't seen Democracy Now! And nobody else fucking talking about it. I was just in awe to see that they're selling Narcan over the fucking counter now. So, you know, back to Mississippi. When you guys and girls see this, after y'all see this, y'all get a chance, just look it up. Watch different videos, even from people you may not care for, that have the actual reports. And you can just see the fucking shit that these guys did to these two guys in this fucking house. And I'm telling you, that's not the only people they've done it to. It's not. All right, Ray, what's going on? Oh shit, we got Ray in the building. Pookie and Ray. What? You know, shout out to the president of Gun Freak Nation. You know, he talk about these home invasions, and he talks about the sexual part of that. Just imagine law enforcement breaking in your fucking house and doing that to you. Oh, Ray, what was so funny? So, amongst black society on the internet and then what have you, we got this whole thing about Pookie and Ray. Just kind of like Pookie and Ray is like just a typical nickname for back in the 80s, 90s type of thing. That's why I seen your name said Ray. That's why I was just laughing. Don't, you know, mean nothing personal, but I'm just saying, you know. Pookie and Ray is kind of like the name we use to describe our criminal class. You know, where at least we acknowledge we got one. But nevertheless, oh, you still don't get it? All right, well. Back to what I was saying. Oh, we got 12 people and 11 likes. I appreciate everybody that hit the likes. Y'all really don't know how much that means to me. Got 13 people in here now. Everybody's starting to trickle in. Man, I'm enjoying doing these live streams. The more we do them, it's starting to get more participation. Well, you know, just like I said, man, when you're dealing with law enforcement, I like to give everybody a guide on how to deal with them, because I sit by and I watch and I read different articles and I watch how the rights here and the rights there get changed. In the state of Missouri, you may not know, you can get convicted and sentenced to life. Or you can get convicted wrongfully in the state of Missouri, and unless you get the death penalty, they don't have to let you go. They can come back and say, oh yeah, you was wrongfully convicted, but because you wasn't given the death penalty under their law, they don't have to let you go. That's what the Missouri 3 big fight was about. They knew there was 3 guys in Missouri prison that was innocent of their crimes, but they had already passed a law to try and keep them in there, saying that, well, they didn't get the death penalty, they got life in prison, so it didn't apply to them. So this is the type of things I talk about when I say you can't be escalating with these people. Man, you don't know. You guys just don't know the times we live in. Man, at any given time, any one of us can lose our lives on the side of the road. Oh man, we can go to prison or get arrested and lose our livelihood just so the mere fact we got arrested for something we didn't even do. Just like law enforcement, when they stop people, they always tell you, I don't know your intentions and I don't know you. You have to treat them accordingly. I don't know you. I don't know your intentions. I don't think I was doing nothing wrong, and even if I was doing something wrong, if I was speeding, now I know for a fact you're probably going to be huffing and puffing. So I just want to make this as quick as possible. It's becoming deadly. I told you guys in the last live stream I did about this, about that trans chick that wanted to be a dude and try to pull out her white female privilege and basically got taken out of the car and threw down to the ground and was screaming, I'm a woman. You don't know because she decided, or he, whatever, decided to poke their nose in the business with law enforcement. You don't know who's stopping you. You don't know who's behind that badge. And some people, y'all know who's behind the badge. You just figure, well, it's not a big deal because they don't do that to y'all. When alligators don't have a food source out in the Louisiana swamp, they turn around and start cannibalizing each other because they're not going to go hungry. When law enforcement don't have no more people that they deem as their opposition, they'll turn around and they'll start beating up their supporters because the need to abuse somebody is already in them. So the groups of people they used to let get away with this and that, now they'll treat you like the very same people you were standing there laughing and making fun of and making excuses for, as though that's why you should mistreat them. That little Arab boy out there in Illinois that ran from that cop and got his hip busted up and his jaw broken in 2 places and all that. That community didn't think that would happen to them. They were some of the main ones out here saying, yeah, when you do it to them, when you do it to black folks, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, you right about that, Eyes and Ears. Shout out to my boy, Eyes and Ears, man. I'm glad you made it in. I brought up some details about the whole Rankin, Mississippi. Like I said, you know, I went through there last week and actually seen where it was on 49 over there. And, you know, I mean, like I said, just the details of what I know of what these guys did it's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable. And like I said, I'm not sure if the woman had it or if the officers carried it around, which I'm leaning more to they carried it around. A fucking dildo. Because at first they had said something sexual happened, but they wouldn't give details until the guys actually pled guilty. And they started saying, yeah, well, one guy, you know, they started dildoing both of them, and one of them kept shitting and shitting and shitting and shitting and shitting. And so they stopped. I mean, if you dig into their history, you're going to find more and more people who have similar stories. Here's the problem. They're in the state of Mississippi. And they understand there's going to be some retaliation for speaking out. Oh, yes. It's got to get dark. They understand this. Mississippi always has and will be ruled by fucking fear. And it is ruled by the assumption that we will kill you, and they will kill you in Mississippi. They will take you out. they'll feed your body to the fucking catfish. Because they used to have a saying, Louisiana alligators and Mississippi catfish, they big for a reason. They will come in the middle of the night and get you. That still persists to this day. Yeah, you're right about that. Speaking of that, yeah, let me expound you on that for a minute. We may celebrate about these officers going to prison, but they're not in general population. Because we have to think about this. I can't really speak on personal experiences because I've never been to prison. So I can't tell you. All I can tell you is from people I know that's been and what I've seen on TV. But you better understand, a lot of these officers got supporters in the fucking jailhouse. They got guards in there that's going to make sure nothing happens to them. They got guards in there that is going to make sure that they get good food. They have access to things other inmates don't have. Because the one thing you don't ever hear, even with all these cell phones being smuggled into prisons, you never see former officers on none of these cell phone videos getting beat up or none of this other crap that the prisoners like to show you that they fucking back there doing with their stupid asses. So, we may be happy that they going to prison, but don't fall for the trick of, well, they back there suffering. For a lot of them, the worst thing that's happening is they can't go home at night. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility for their wives and their family to be snuck in there to see them and what have you. Yeah, I would love to see them go to general population too. But I'm always going to tell you guys and girls out there, I speak from experience when I tell you about dealing with law enforcement. And I tried that young about my rights, and all it took for me was to get punched in the face one good time and see stars to stop that screaming and howling about my rights. I couldn't start verbally telling them I knew my fucking rights. I just had to use my head and start studying them and start standing ahead of them to the point where I had them telling me, nah, you just too cordial. You just go along to get along entirely too easy. Yep. Yeah, you're right about that, Gene. It's probably like Goodfellas for him. Think about it. All the officers that did time in prison, you don't ever hear them coming out with horror stories. The ones who come out. You don't hear about them getting out of prison and then living in poverty because they can't find a fucking job. All they're doing is making a political contribution, but believe me, they have a whole infrastructure to take care of them. I've never been somewhere and seen a former officer that beat somebody up and got fired and went to prison saying, oh, I couldn't get a job because I got a record. So, like I said, the Mississippi incident was the catalyst, was basically the reason for me doing this live stream. Especially because I found out a little bit more details about what they was doing. And my only guess is the reason they pled guilty to Fed and states is they probably going to get less time with the feds. Or they probably going to be able to kind of move around like they want since the feds going to trump the state. Now, they say a lot of these crimes they facing from 120 years to life in prison. Up to. That means up to. And they had no remorse. They didn't. And which, to be honest, I'll lose even more respect for them when they get caught and they go to court and cry and apologize. Nah. I got the utmost respect for those who stand on their square. Even though what they did was demonic. That say, yeah, this is what I did, and I'm going to stand on my square, and it's going to be what it's going to be. Giving those fake apologies, you're not sorry. We all know you're only sorry because you got caught. You know, I just want to say this before I get out of here, because I know it's late. Everybody got to go to work tomorrow. I got to get up myself and get going in the morning. Being a law-abiding citizen, that has a legally owned firearm, you have to always think about being strategic. You know, as humans, trouble sometime will find you in some of the most unique places, but it shows up. Your situational awareness and the fact that you use it is why you're able to even tune into this program tonight or whenever you see it. Because you're still alive to see it. You're not in prison. You're not in somewhere where you can't see this. Unfortunately, yep, yeah, appreciate that. You know, unfortunately, I have to do these live streams and videos. And as I always say, if this stuff didn't happen, I wouldn't talk about it. I wouldn't tell you about these things if they didn't happen. If I hadn't went through them myself, I wouldn't be sharing to y'all about how to sidestep this. But I've been through it, a lot of it. That's why I tell you, it don't pay to be a criminal no more. And I tell you, if that's what you want to do, make sure you be ready for the consequences. When you run from the police, expect to get your ass whipped if they catch you. If they bring the dog out, they're going to let the dog bite you. I don't care if you handcuffed. The dog going to bite you. That's just a part of policing in America, whether you like it or not. And if you don't believe me, just look on YouTube. You ain't got to go no further. Just look on YouTube. Every time you look up, something is dropping. Something like this is happening every time. I'm not making it up. I'm not doing this because I want to keep shit going. I'm not doing this because I'm ranting against law enforcement. I'm thinking about the law-abiding citizens out there. And how many law-abiding citizens we've lost over the years that's never committed a crime, that was coming from work, going to work, or like Botham John sitting in his fucking living room eating ice cream and lost his fucking life. Shot in the chest just fucking watching TV and eating ice cream. You can't take your safety for granted, man. I know what we supposed to have here in America. I know what we supposed to have, but we don't have it. To be honest, we've never really had it. And the illusion is going away now that social media is here. Now that NBC, CBS, ABC don't control what we see anymore. What's going on, William? Gun Freak Nation salute. Show right. You're right. Now that mainstream media has competition, the illusion is gone. What I just told y'all about Narcan, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of y'all who's here now or that may see this that never even heard nothing about that. Hell, there's probably people around the country don't even know what the fuck Narcan is. And now they're selling it over the fucking counter for people because the opioid crisis is so bad. I might, you know what? If I get enough requests, I might actually do kind of a little video essay about that, about the effects of the opioid crisis and what I see with my own two eyes, because there's a lot of things going on, especially in the Midwest, you guys don't have no idea about because the mainstream media not gonna tell you. They're telling you about Chicago was supposed to be a part of the Midwest, but that's all you ever hear about. There's a whole lot of other stuff going on up here that you guys don't never hear about. Flyover country, rural America, the Midwest and the Pacific Northwest, all the fucking murder suicides that's going on, that shit ain't on TV. You got people halfway around the world screaming about Chicago, ain't never been to America, because that's all they see on the fucking TV. They're not telling you that the most mass killings in this country happen in rural flyover America, and it's murder-suicides. They're not telling you that. That's a fact. I'm not making that up. Somebody going in the shopping mall and airing the place out is not the leading cause of murder in this country. A couple of gangsters running around shooting at each other in Chicago or in Atlanta or Detroit is not. It's flyover country. It's murder-suicides. I'm telling you. These opioid wars that's going on. For those of y'all who don't know, Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, Northern California, Utah, Idaho, Washington State, they becoming strongholds of fucking cartels now. Up in them fucking mountains. They got people that's afraid. Hell, you got police departments that's afraid to go after them. Because of the firepower they say they have. They stealing people water. The water that's meant to grow crops, they using it to grow fucking weed. You ain't hearing about that, but it's going on. They just found a little girl from California or Arizona up in Montana that got kidnapped years ago. You think they found her in Montana? For those of you who ain't never been, Montana is very lightly fucking inhabited. It's vast. It's all wilderness for the most part. And yet they kidnapped the little girl and took her up there. I tell you guys and girls these things because I've lived on both sides. I've lived in the hood. I've lived in the middle of all the chaos that they put on the news. Now I live in the middle of all the chaos that you never hear nothing about. Was CA's meth factory. We had more labs than could. Yep. When I first got to Iowa, I didn't know why they was having so many house fires and houses blowing up. Fucking meth labs. I didn't know that. For those of you who've been around since the last channel, you know I've pointed out multiple times the little I can't remember how many gallon ammonia tanks that they pull around on the farms. How the farmers have to have people guarding them, because at night people come in and drilling holes trying to fucking take the ammonia out of there so they can make meth. They not telling you that on the news. They're not telling you that people that's being convicted of possession of methamphetamines can't have jobs doing refrigeration in industrial settings because there's ammonia that they use for a refrigerant because they don't want them with access to fucking ammonia. They're not telling you that, but it's going on. I've been to GCAP, Garden City Ammonia Program, in Garden City, Kansas. That's one of the best refrigeration schools in the damn country. Damn near in the world. They tell you if you can graduate their school, take their full course, they can guarantee you a job anywhere in the world. You working with hundreds of thousands of gallons of fucking ammonia as a refrigerant. You got certain convictions you can't be around it. I'm telling you. You're not seeing that on TV. They use it, the farmers use it for growing purposes. I'm not exactly 100% sure. But the meth dealers, I guess, is a part of how they make meth. I don't know. I've never seen it made. I don't know what it looks like. But most industrial places use ammonia because it's the best refrigerant to use. So they just use ammonia in their systems. But yeah. Like I said, I've talked to some officers up here that's told me they tired of fucking Narcan. They tired of having to shoot people up with it. And now it's to the point where It's like fucking buying a nasal spray, literally. Oh, Narcan is free in San Diego, huh? Shout out Eyes and Ears Tactical. It's going on in California. Now, you guys and girls see I'm not making it up. If you don't believe me, I'm pretty sure you can Google or YouTube that fucking commercial. And you can see how they talk about it like you buying a post-nasal spray. Oh, Narcan, nasal available. You never know when an accident is going to happen. Just in case. As though you might get a fucking cold flying on an airplane. So here's Narcan, by the way. I don't think, there. It used to be free. It's not going to be free anymore now. There's so many people overdosing. And the word then got out. Yeah. Well, the reason it's not free is the pharmaceutical and drug companies see a way to make money. So, why in the hell would they let officers give it away for free when they can make money off of it? So, you can best believe, that's going to be the next smash and grabs. Going where all the fucking Narcan is at. I mean, it's a money thing, basically. It used to be free, but I mean, I guess the pharmaceutical companies, chemical companies looking at, why the hell would we just give it away to the police when we can just sell the shit? But the police ain't got to worry no more. We can sell them enough Narcan that when they get ready to fucking hit fentanyl or whatever the fuck they getting high off of, if their eyes start rolling in the back of their head, all they got to do is have somebody standing there to fucking pump them in the nose. I do this because I want everybody to be informed. I do this because I have to carry my black skin around. And I understand how it has been stigmatized. And I've been put in situations where my life has almost been compromised because of that. Me doing these live streams and doing these different videos, I'm trying to change the image of us having firearms. Because a black man with firearms can still get you killed. Yeah. Thanks, Willpower. Black man with a gun is still a killable offense. You can say that and get one of us killed. And at the end of the day, having a gun is not illegal. But the way it's been presented to us, the only time we are shown with a firearm is committing crimes. And I'm trying to help get rid of that stigma. And I also understand with the power of technology now and media that's not just covered by the mainstream channels, the importance in how we can get this done. Thank you, I appreciate that. How we can get this done. How in the future I might be able to save people's lives. Like I said, since I've been living in Iowa, some of the conversations I've had with people that just had them dumbfounded. And they've said, I've never would have thought about that. I guess we never had to deal with it. And then they came back and say, yeah, I've noticed this, and that. It's spreading. We got people right now from the 80s still in prison for a fucking crack stem. Forget crack. Having a stem. This officer saying he had something he didn't have. A stem. Still in jail from the fucking 80s. Users. People that was hooked on crack. Then did 30 and 40 years in prison being a user. It was criminal. Our current president, it was criminal. His cokehead son didn't fucking go to jail for it, but that's, you know, another channel, another topic. Now we got this opioid crisis. It's a public health issue now. Now they selling fucking Narcan. Hell, I've seen officers around the country say we can't even arrest people for that no more. They gotta have a certain amount before we'll even arrest them. Oh, I didn't know that bastard had a gun. It's Hunter Biden, the little thug. The little thug in the White House. His cokehead behind. Citizens, family, talk to your children. Explain to your children how to deal with these people out here, man. Explain to your children that they see they see your male sons as adults, and they treat them as such. Sit them down and talk to them. Don't let them live in a fucking delusional world. That's a big part of the reason that I do this. Don't let them live in a delusional. Lied on his background check form, strew in a dumpster. Oh, that's a federal crime, that bastard. No, I'm up here in Illinois now. William? Yeah, for work. I'm up here in Illinois now. I'm in Illinois. Shout out to the state of Florida. When I was down there last week, when I did that other live stream, I was right across the interstate from the Tampa Bay Devil Rays Stadium, right there in St. Petersburg. Yep. Yeah, I'm in here in Illinois. I'm on 74. I'm on Interstate 74. I'm in the red part of Illinois. But yeah, I was down in St. Pete last week at the went to a bakery over there, picked up some pecan pies, take back up to Missouri. St. Pete is a nice place. Gotta have some money to be there, but you know, I like to look at Florida when I come down there. I don't think I could ever live there because it's too expensive, but you know. But I'm gonna repeat this probably for the gazillion time to everybody get it through their head. I know our rights on paper. I'm just telling you, on the side of the road ain't the time to try and exercise some of them rights. Driver license, registration, insurance, we can battle this out in court. Because the worst thing happened in court, I have to pay something. If you have children, you have to think about them. Is it worth arguing with this bastard and getting killed on the side of the road? You're in West Florida. You need to get... West Florida. Okay, you on the you up in the Panhandle then, West Florida. Are you on the western coast? The western coast of Florida. Are you up in the Panhandle? Yeah, we're gonna have to do that, definitely though. Yeah, yeah. I came up 75, out of Tampa, St. Pete, and hit 10 through Lake City and Tallahassee and yeah, Taz TV. Yeah, you read about that. I didn't even think about that. So, like I was saying, shout out. We had 16 likes, man, and we had 15 or 16 people in here at one time. So everybody hit the like button, man. I really, really, really appreciate that. What that tells me, Key West, okay. Yeah, I've been down to Key West. That 2-lane road that you used to have to take down there. As a matter of fact, I went in the Gulf right there in Key West. You know how they let you go snorkeling and all that stuff? I had another driver talk me into that. Definitely. But you know, like I was just saying, we as law-abiding citizens that's legally armed, because that's the enhancement you always got to think about. You legally armed. Like I told y'all, I've been one time, me and a friend of mine got stopped where the police let us drive to before they decided to turn their lights on. I didn't think it was smart with their attitude for me to tell them I had a gun unless they was gonna make us get out. They wasn't making us get out, so I just didn't tell them I had one on me. I had my license and everything, but we was out there by the cornfields. So I wasn't gonna tell them I got a fucking gun on me and we get shot out there by the fucking cornfield, because you could have said anything happened. When they had the opportunity to stop us by the jailhouse and they let us fucking drive. So knowing that, you know. Yep. Silence sometimes is just the best way. Yeah, Key West, like I said, I used to haul flowers down there. So that's how I got to come down to Key West. I took a load of flowers down there. Back when Kmart was still around. A couple other places. I used to go to Sun City a lot, in Miami a lot. When Dixie down there in Miami. I used to go to this place in Sun City, Kurt Wise down there. So, you know, I've been from Key West all the way up to Jacksonville, all the way over across to Pensacola. One other thing I wanted to touch on while I was on this, before we cut this live stream, I think I'm going to go about another 15 minutes. I'm going to try and shut it down at the 2-hour mark so everybody can get back to their normal life. I won't be holding everybody up. When you're traveling from one state to another one, always understand something. Your out-of-town tag makes you a target to law enforcement. For those of you who don't know, Interstate 80 runs through Seward County, Nebraska, and they have a civil forfeiture racket going on. And I've read the transcripts and seen the stories where they like to stop out-of-town plates coming through there. And they'll come up with a reason to search your vehicle because they're looking for cash. Yeah, the Keys is beautiful, man. Yeah, I gotta say, South Florida is beautiful. But I was saying, in Seward County, Nebraska, it's one of the places where basically when they stop you, they search you, they're looking to see if they can find large amounts of cash. Even if you have a legitimate reason for having it, what they do is they threaten you to take you to jail. Yep. They threaten you and they take you to jail. To take you to jail and impound your car, all this. Or give us your money and sign this waiver form saying that, you know, you're going to give this money up. There was a guy on his way to Colorado. He had $18,000 in cash. He had his dog. He had all his stuff packed, you know, for fishing and all that. And he got stopped. And they searched him and found his money. He had proof where he was going. They took his money. First, he wouldn't give him his money, and they threatened to take him to jail and give him 5 felonies, impound his car, and put his dog in the pound. So he signed a waiver. He fought it all the way to the Nebraska Supreme Court, and he lost it, $18,000. That's the way civil forfeiture works. And about I-95, yeah, you're right. Hell, I-95, I think the worst place I've seen as of late has been I-75 in Florida. When I got down there, in between that Lake City and that Tampa area, all the border patrol and all the state troopers sitting next to each other, and every 3 or 4 miles a car pulled over and he got 5 or 6 cars on him looking for drugs and money. And Georgia, for those of you who've never been to Georgia on Interstate 75, when you come from Valdosta all the way up to Atlanta, man, it's just cops after cops after cops after cops. You think they're looking for speeders, but they're not. They're out there looking for drugs, and they're out there profiling people. And it's nothing to come through that stretch of Georgia and see 3 or 4 state troopers or unmarked vehicles with a car pulled over and the people standing on the side and they just rambling through the fucking car. And when they go through your car, they take out the spare, they open your luggage, they take all your shit out right there on the side of the fucking road. I saw that last week and I was just like, damn, it's really been ramped up. So, if you were going through Tennessee on 40, like if you heading out west from Nashville and you going into Memphis, once you pass Brownsville and all that, before you get into that Memphis area, they sit right there. Yeah, you're right, rain or shine. But they sit right there on Interstate 40. They used to be in Camaros. We call them the cocaine cowboys. That's just like a trucker's term for the undercovers. Oh, we got the cocaine cowboys sitting in the middle. And that's all they're out there doing. When they stop you, they're going to search you. I mean, there's just strategic places throughout the country. I've been through a couple myself that I've been stopped and they've made me get out and, search the truck and, and call a federal marshal so they can search the trailer. Yep. So, I mean, you just have to be mindful. You have to be mindful. They have a job to do. And it might make you feel uncomfortable sometimes. But you got to be smart. You have to understand, anytime you're an out-of-towner, there's always the prospect that they think you're carrying drugs or carrying large amounts of money back and forth. That's always been the hustle. I know they doing it at some of the airports, waiting till you get ready to board the plane and catching you on the jet walk or whatever the fuck they call it, and stop you and saying, oh, well, we want to search you before you get on the plane, and, oh, well, we smell weed, because they're looking for money. I know in Georgia at the Atlanta Hartsfield, they say they do that. Yep. Got MC Juice on that bullshit. MC Juice, is that Juice WRLD? Was that who that happened to? But, I mean, you just have to understand, you got to be a couple steps ahead of these guys and girls. And the reason I tell you all this is, you never know when it's going to happen to you. You think it can't, but you never know when that shit going to happen to you. Oh, okay. Okay, beat Eminem, yeah. Like I said, you have to be careful about all these, from Chicago. You have to be careful about all these different laws and how to navigate law enforcement. And you always have to feel like they feel about us. They say they don't trust their safety to nobody, and in their mind, we all up to no good. It's the same way I feel when law enforcement stop me. That don't mean I'm going to mistreat them or talk to them disrespectful. But in the back of my mind, anything can happen and anything can go wrong. I want to get this over with as quick as possible. You said I was speeding, okay? I'll see you in court. Let me go. And being in a commercial vehicle, they don't need a reason to stop us. I tried that the first time I got stopped going down the road, and I told the officer, well, you had to have a reason to stop me because I ain't did nothing wrong. He said, you're in a commercial vehicle. And he even showed me the rule again in the book. He said, I don't have to have a reason to stop you. I can stop you just because. He was nice to me after that. He could have been a dickhead. He was nice to me after that. I got lucky. But these are some of the life lessons that I like to pass on so y'all out there in the public don't go through it. Or if you do, you know how to deal with it. On the one hand, they doing their job. On the other hand, you just have to be smart enough to circumvent that. You have to be smart enough to circumvent them. You have to understand every fight ain't worth having with them. And even in small towns now, the town I live in Iowa, they're riding 2 and 3. They're riding 2 to a vehicle now. That didn't used to be so. You know, I've seen the police going from wearing the little bell caps and they flap out pants, damn near bell bottoms, to being dressed like fucking Call of Duty warriors. Every day. The militarization of, yep, even if you win the fight, with the cops, you lose it later. You're right. On the side of the road, you can't beat them. You just can't. That's a lose-lose for you. I've watched them go from being officer friendly. For those of you old enough, you remember officer friendly. When law enforcement would come around to the different schools and we had Dare, McGruff the crime dog, used to come on in the evening time and all that kind of stuff. That's all gone now. There is no more of that. There is no more taking a bite out of crime. There is no more the relationship with law enforcement and the community. It's them and it's us. That's the way they like it. That's the way they train. We think it's not them against us. Yep. So, I'm gonna go ahead on and end this live stream. I've been on here for over an hour and 45 minutes. Time sure fly when you're having fun. Subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. If you're 18 years of age or older and you are able to be legally armed in the United States, practice your Second Amendment rights. It is not illegal under the Constitution. In Canada, I know you guys and girls are able to be armed. And around the world, as I said, if you don't live in a country where you can be legally armed, get you a walking stick. It's better than nothing. You might have to take off running. You might have to bust a motherfucker in his head and shoot out of there. But protect yourself. This is a worldwide movement. We would love to have all the citizens of the world legally armed. Because when we got an armed world, we got little to no world conflict. Remember this. Criminals are opportunists. They're not brave. Sell your cloak, buy a sword. Sell your Gucci bag, buy a Glock. Remember that. Till next time, everybody out there. We got 16 likes. Everybody that came through, hit the like button. I really, really appreciate that. That tells me we get more and more likes during the actual stream. Tells me that the message is starting to resonate and I'm doing something right here. Even if it's just a smidgen, I'm doing something right here. You could be doing other things, but yet y'all take the time to come out here. You guys can only just come here and view me shooting, and yet y'all willing to take the time out to hear the message that I'm trying to push. I really, really, really appreciate that. This is a worldwide movement. If you're watching from another country, drop it in the likes, drop it in the comment. Yep. Yes, I definitely will do that. Keep the rubber side down, the shiny side up. Till next time, everybody, stay safe, stay armed, be on the lookout, use your head, stay on high alert. This weekend, I will be dropping some more videos about just ways to stay steps ahead to the criminals. So shout out to everybody. Shout out to William down in Florida. Shout out to Jean Grey. Shout out to everybody that came through and supported. And shout out to everybody that's gonna come through and support. Peace, y'all. Stay safe.